Hey guys, how's everybody doing today? Um, I have decided, or actually, I should say, we have decided that there is just so much going on in the world right now that honestly, you can't even keep up with it anymore. I've never seen anything like it. So with that said, we're going to start maybe doing a video with just updates of the news. Personally, I don't watch the MSN. I don't watch any of it. It's just too bleh. So I don't personally watch it. I get all my news from Christians. Christian people that are I think I told you about Eric Stackleback, to, as Amir Tesafari, which I can't say his name, I butcher his name, but I listen to them and then I listen to others and I get my news from them. I just find it's just, a lot of things that they tell us, they're not even reporting on MSM. They just report what they want you to hear. So, and with Flora and I doing the Bible studies and studying Revelation 101 right now, and I feel like we definitely need to know what's going on in the Middle East. And even if we were not doing the study, Jesus clearly tells us in Matthew chapter 24, verses 43 through 44, I believe, that we need to watch, okay, and be ready um, for the end times. And that doesn't mean that, if we're studying this and we're realizing that, it's very possible it could be in the next year or whatever, that you go out and buy a Lamborghini because you're thinking, oh, hey, we're going to be gone anyway, and I'm not going to have to pay for this thing. So I'm going to go out and enjoy it. Yeah, no, I don't think that's why God tells us, Jesus told us to watch. He told us that because one, we need to be ready, but we need to share it with our friends, especially the non-Christians. It is so important that we do that. And as much as a lot of us don't like politics and we don't like the news and stuff, it's important. Because what happens in the Middle East affects America, and what happens in America affects the Middle East, Europe, all of that. And we need to we need to know at least the little bit of it, of what's going on, especially Middle East, because that all pertains to, well, not just Middle East, Europe, yeah, because it all pertains to our end times. Um, as Flora and I've told y'all in the beginning, I'm Barbie, by the way, and I'm co-host on Two Friends in the Bible. Flora's not here with me today because she is at work and I don't work, so I have a little bit more time to get on here and do things. Um, I had a brain pause. Anyway, I am going to start with a couple of things that I wanted to tell you about, and then I'm going to get into what's going on in the world right now. Okay. One, I had posted some things on my Facebook page, and it was about end times and being prepared, and that I truthfully was seeing, I really feel that we might be going into some sort of a famine this coming fall, and that we need to prepare, that it's not going to hurt to, get some rice and beans or something, and water and whatnot, and prepare in the event that we do have some issues. Um, Her response was that I was putting people in fear. And my first thought was, oh no, I don't want to put people in fear. In fear, the word says, don't be, God tells us clearly, don't be in fear. Many times in the Bible, 365, I believe. But Jesus also tells us in Matthew 24 to watch and be ready. And I think that we need to be smart. And so at first my thought was, wow, I don't want to, I don't want to scare anybody. Maybe I need to stop teaching Revelation. Maybe I need to stop doing this because I don't want to make people scared. You're not supposed to fear God. I mean, well, okay, we do fear God, but you're not supposed to be in fear because you know that God is going to take care of you. And so when I was thinking these things, I thought to myself, wait a second. People that are not living right, people that are not paying attention to what's going on, people who are not in the word, and these are Christians, people that have accepted Christ but are backslidden, they might, they need to be in fear. They need to know what's going on. And non-Christians, you know what? If I put them in fear, good. I mean, maybe that's what it's going to take to get them to open their eyes. And of course, as soon as if you accepted Christ and you trust Christ and you have the faith, then God's going to take care of you. But not everyone lives that way. In fact, many of us don't. It's hard. It's hard to live that way, and so many of us don't. And so, yeah, it's okay that I might be putting a little fear into people. The point is to listen and then realize what's going on, and then that you as a person, between your relationship with God, you'll know that you don't need to fear. He's going to take care of you. But yeah, I also believe he gives us a mind and lets us know things that are coming. That's why there's so much evidence of rapture and second coming and end times, is because he lets us know so that we can prepare. So I had to kind of ignore that, because I felt like God was telling me it's okay to put some people in fear. They need to be in fear. People are stubborn. People need to wake up and see that they need to know what's going on. So the other thing that I wanted to, and he also told me, don't tickle their ears. You don't want to tell them what they're wanting to hear. You need to tell them what the word says, not what they want to hear. And if it puts them in fear, well, it puts them in the fear, but we're not to tickle people's ears. We are to tell the truth, the whole truth. As we've stated before, we're not evangelists. We are not prophets. We are not anything. We're just two people who love the Lord, have really, really learned, study his word. We really just have thrived and loved studying his word and learning about him. And we really feel the calling that he has given us to teach what we have learned. Hang on just a second. Okay, sorry about that. I think my door being shut was causing me to get the pop-up of my internet's unstable. So anyway, so we are not going to beat around the bush. We're not going to worry about somebody being in fear. If you're right with God and you are speaking with God, God is going to take care of us, okay? He's going to make sure we're okay. But if you're not, then you most likely aren't even asking them, okay? So there's, a time when it's okay to maybe instill some fear in people, okay? And I hope that makes sense. And if you don't agree, or if you have another thought on it, please leave a comment. Let me know. Like I said, I'm not a teacher, not a theologian, not an evangelist. I'm nothing. I'm just a child of God who likes to read her Bible with her friend and study it and teach. Well, so I guess I am a little bit of a teacher, but I'm not perfect. And I'm still learning a lot myself. So I have absolutely no problem with someone respectfully telling me, hey, what have you thought about it this way, or maybe that way, or, that type of thing. So I'm totally fine with that. The other thing that I wanted to talk about is, I don't know if anyone who watches our channel, which it's still kind of small, but we do have several people watching it and asking questions and whatnot. I don't know if any of you are watching the prophets. There are several prophets out there. They kind of just click together, so to speak. And I watch them too, because a lot of times I get information from them. And there's been a few that I've kind of gone, something's not feeling right. I've always told you guys, use your discerned spirit, and use your discerned spirit when we're telling you something too. so that you can understand and hear from God that what we're saying is right. You always want to question that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, and go to the word and make sure that what we're saying is right, or anyone, and that includes the prophets. And I know that they will use the verse that you're not supposed to harm the prophets, go against the prophets, but verifying that what they're saying is in the word is not harming them and is not hurting them. You are making sure that what they are saying is correct. Okay. And there are some prophets out there right now. And when number 45 lost in office in November 2020, they started speaking up. Well, they were speaking up prior, saying that he was going to win, and then number 45's VP was going to get 8 years in office, and all these things was going to happen. And well, it didn't come to pass. So even after the election and it didn't come to pass, and yeah, there's a good chance we all hear about the stealing, and yeah, there's a good chance that's probably true to an extent or whatever, but Trump, I'm sorry, number 45 did not come back. So what they started saying after that was that he was coming back, but that God was getting rid of all the dirty in the world. All the corrupt politicians, corrupt billionaires, corrupt whoever. He was getting rid of all of that. And then he would be bringing Trump back in. And yes, we have seen some of that. And I said his name again. But anyway, we have seen that again. Some people being taken out, a lot of prime ministers are resigning, things like that. We are seeing that, but they haven't really mentioned that 45 was going to be back until about 2 weeks ago, give or take a few days. Then they started saying it again, and now they're saying he's going to be back by the end of the year. A lot of people will tell you there's no way he can come back because it's been too long and there's no way, it's just no way. And I mean, I guess if you look at it in a natural, there really isn't any way. Look at it in the supernatural, God can do anything. So yeah, maybe he will come back, and they're saying by the end of December, 1st of January. It's a possibility. I don't underestimate anything that God, if God wants it, it's going to happen. Well, there was this one prophet. Actually, there's a couple, and I was having some really, really big concerns. I just wasn't feeling some of the things that she was saying. And it wasn't feeling right. So I really kind of stopped listening to her about a month ago. And a couple of days ago, another evangelist who's highly respected, he brings a lot of souls to the Lord. He's just, I mean, a really good evangelist. And he's only called out 2 other people. He's been in ministry since the 70s. And he's only called out a few people in those 50 years that he's been in ministry. And he actually called out one of these people that I was listening to. And so it confirmed when I heard him say this, that what I was feeling in my spirit about this person was accurate. Well, I listened to this person for 2 years. And it was only in the last few months that I really started getting, what I used to call red flags, but we now know it's a discerned spirit. And even though I started getting that several months ago, I kept listening. And every time I listened to him, I would find something else. Well, anyway, long story short, the evangelist has called out this person. And come to find out, I'm not the only person that's feeling this. There's a lot that's feeling this. So with that said, do I believe in prophets? Yeah, I do. I do believe that God will give people words, I do believe that. but I do believe it's probably few and far between. There's not a ton, but I do believe that there are some. And what I'm just here to tell you is to make sure that if you are listening to the prophets, make sure what they say is number one, biblical, and make sure, especially if they give a deadline, like Trump coming, 45 coming back by the end of the year, make sure that it comes to pass. If it does not, might want to really think about that. And because, if we are indeed in the end times, which based off our studies and what we're seeing, we are indeed going there, getting there. False prophets are going to be coming up everywhere. And this one particular prophet teaches about that they've been to heaven thousands of times, that God brings them up there and shows them heaven. And, heaven has a roller coaster, heaven has all these neat little fun things to do. And I'm not saying that, God would not give us something to do up there, but it's not biblical. Doesn't say it in the Bible. So who knows? But I think what was happening was so many people were intrigued by the things that she was saying that they started really holding on to her word. Everything she said was gold, almost to the point of like seeing her as an idol and not going to the word. And I started thinking, wait a second, we are so focused on there being roller coasters and a Christmas town and all these different things in heaven that we are losing focus on the fact that when we get to heaven, we're going to be in the sight of God. What more could you want? That is just going to be so amazing. We're going to be being in the sight of God. We're going to be meeting Jesus. We're going to be meeting all the old prophets and the people from the Bible and seeing our family and things. So, I haven't been to heaven, so I can't say yay or nay. Maybe she did see what she said she saw, but it got to the point that it was a little much. And then she has said that the rapture, Rapazza, is not going to come for 200 years. And that's a possibility. Maybe it's not. They said that they saw God's calendar and that we're still here in 200 years and that we need to put our rapture rug up and quit focusing on it. And, no, you don't want to focus on the rapture 24/7. So the point that you think it's next week or next month or 6 months so that you go out and buy that Lamborghini, thinking, oh, I can just have fun with it. And then the rapture is going to happen and I'm not have to worry about it. Yeah. You don't want to focus it on that point. But Jesus clearly tells us to watch and wait, watch and pay attention so that we aren't fooled. We're not deceived. We're not paying attention. We don't get shocked by it, And so when that person started saying that, it was kind of like, wait a second, hold on, because when you're saying that it's not going to happen for 200 years, put up your rapture rug, quit thinking about it, quit talking about it, quit studying it. Wouldn't that be what Satan would want us to do? Wouldn't Satan want us to put that up? I'm thinking yes. I'm thinking that that's what he would want because he doesn't want us out there ministering to anybody. Sorry, I'm a stay-at-home mom to a 7-pound teacup schnauzer. But yeah, he would not want us to stay home. Sorry, he would not want us to witness to people. So when you tell someone that, yeah, that's kind of concerning. So long story short, all right, so short story long, be careful. Just be careful. Okay, so I just want to tell you a few things that is going on in the world. there has been so many things that's happened over the last 2 years since the virus came to play. We had the situation in Afghanistan. We just and left. Sorry about that. That was my doctor's office. I had to take that call. Okay, so we up and left Afghanistan. $83 million was left in military equipment. So now they always, they have obviously have our um, equipment so they can see a lot of how we made things. Not to mention they're using our equipment against people. So that was a bad situation. And so far, we have sent last count, we have sent like close to $271 million to Ukraine. And not that I agree with what's going on with Ukraine, because I do not, but we are making sure their borders are protected and we're not protecting the United States. And when I tell you a few more things going on, you'll kind of understand a little more why that's so really concerning. And it's not that I don't want to help Ukraine because I do, but we're in a dire situation ourselves here in the US. And so we need to really be doing that. And it does bother me that sending that money and the president, Zelensky, is doing Vogue, um, posing for Vogue's cover, instead of focusing on what needs to be focused on. So that kind of was a little concerning. And in addition to all that, we are depleting our military. I mean, we are right now, we have lost, I don't even know how many due to the jab, because they're not taking the jab. So now we're giving our money away. We're not protecting our borders. We are now depleting our military because of vaccines. I mean, that aren't really necessarily our jabs. I've said the word now, but okay. So I think we talked about this in another program, but here is the reason that is concerning about our borders, depleting our military, sending our money away, is one of the things going on right now is Russia, Iran, and China will be going to Venezuela next month. And they're going to be doing something kind of like war games. They're not calling it that, but it's something like war games. But they're going to be doing simulations on how to basically take out us. And that is a little too close for home, in Venezuela. In addition, Venezuela has given Iran 2,500 acres of land. Why would they do that? Why would Iran need our land? Got to think about that one, huh? Okay, and then on top of that, our administration is given, we are depleting our fuel and oil, right? We're getting really low on it. Even our reserves are getting very low. And the administration is taking out of our reserves and they're sending it to China. And I don't even know how many millions of barrels, but they have sent quite a bit to China. But then in the same breath, number 46 goes to Saudi Arabia and he's begging for oil. Well, Saudi Arabia said, we're producing enough. Sorry, we might be able to produce a little more, but yeah. So basically, no, they're not going to help us. So, we're giving our reserves away. We're taking from our reserves. We're not making our own. We're not protecting our borders, and we're giving our money away, and we're depleting our military. So concerning, very concerning. Like we said a few minutes ago, I do think that there's I don't know that we're going to come up into necessarily a famine, but I definitely see a food shortage. I mean, we can all see that, the grocery store we go to is not too bad, but I'm seeing it all over the news where people are going to the stores and there's just not a lot. It's getting lower and lower. I'm getting a little concerning. So yeah, I highly recommend stocking up a little bit, and I think we've said this in another video, if you've listened to our videos, that, if you don't use it, take it to a homeless shelter if it's not needed, use it as a ministry. But just, be careful, because I do see it coming. And what's going to come out of this is animals are going to get hungry too. And, it's going to become, and then people are going to get hungry. And when you're hungry, you're grumpy. So people are violence is really going to intensify. So we need to be protected as well. And that's another thing. They're trying to take that away from us. So, and now we've got a lot of lawlessness taking over our cities. And once they've taken over the cities, don't fool yourself. They're going to go to the suburbs. They're going to go to the suburbs. And we need to just be prepared for that as well, that's a very big possibility that could happen. Criminals, I think at this point, realize who's in charge. And criminals don't ask permission. They do what they want. Okay. So monkeypox and the virus is ramping up. I live south of Atlanta, and we're seeing some cases, and the WHO has put out not a pandemic, but a global crisis in regards to monkeypox. And it's interesting because if you look at it, there's not a ton of cases, but it definitely is building. So it's interesting that the WHO has already done that, but they did. And obviously the virus is ramping back up again. Doesn't appear to be as bad as it was when it first came out. Like, it's maybe gotten a lot lighter. It's mutated so much, but still, it's still putting people in the hospital and people are getting sick. So, is that pestilence, plagues? It's a possibility, it's a possibility. Economics are collapsing. Inflation is at an all-time high. Gas prices I don't care if they've gone down 50 cents a gallon or whatever or not, they're still outrageous. And it is very difficult to try to go to work and put double the gas in that you used to put in. It's still, and so you got inflation rising, you got your gas prices rising, you got your food prices rising, and then you got shortness of food, and you're going to have intensity and violence and things that, because of all this. So I'm just telling you things that I'm seeing on the news that I watch, and I just want my people to be prepared. I think it was Russia and China have definitely said there is a digital money system that's going to be coming out real soon, and it will make the dollar fall. So that's going to be the economic part. We're going to be financially hurting if we're not already. A lot of the government all over are talking about peace and security, peace and security. Well, that's what the Antichrist is going to be preaching, whatever, peace and security. And find that in 1 Thessalonians 5:1-6. And I find it interesting that a lot of government, including our own, is saying these things. The New York Times actually posted just a few days ago that this year, 2022, is the biggest boom for weddings ever in the history. Some people are saying because people that were supposed to have gotten married in 2020 and 2021, when that kind of stuff was kind of taken away because of the virus, that they're now getting married now, because this is, because they can invite people and have a little bit larger of a wedding. But even so, they're saying it's the biggest ever. And that includes 2019, 2018, not just that 2-year time frame. So the reason that is interesting is, Matthew 24 again, where Jesus talks about when it's time for the end times, it'll be like the days of Noah. People are marrying, giving in marriage, partying, having a good time, living their life. So Iran, Russia, and Turkey stated just in the last few days that the Americans need to leave Syria. Now, we've talked about the Gog Magog war. If you didn't watch it, go back to it. But remember, those three countries are going to be involved in the Gog Magog war as well. Well, Iran, Russia, Turkey, and Syria. They will be involved. Syria is on the north of Israel. Okay, Turkey's, I think, like right above it. You got Russia over here, and you got like Iran. But, Iran and Turkey, Russia were meeting last week. So we don't know what they're meeting. We don't really 100% know what they were meeting about. But now they're telling Americans they need to leave Syria. Well, we know the Gog Magog war is going to be attack on Israel from the north, and it's going to be those countries that are involved. We also know that God is going to put a hook in their mouth and pull them back, and Israel is going to be fine. But it's still that Gog Magog war. Okay, so another thing that's happened is we got Estonia, UK, Sri Lanka, Italy. I feel like there's another one, but all their prime ministers have resigned, and they all resigned really, really, really quick, fairly quick. The prophets are saying that this is God cleaning house, like they prophesied. Maybe it is. I don't know. But I'm also, being that I'm studying and teaching in eschatology or Revelation 101 class, that are we sure this isn't getting us set up for the 10 kings that are going to be working with the Antichrist? Two things just to kind of keep an eye on. Because it's very weird that many have just resigned. I mean, it's just odd. There was a 7.2 earthquake in the Philippines yesterday. And there again, that's rumors of wars, rumors of all that kind of stuff from Matthew 24. Now, obviously, we've been getting earthquakes forever, but they are intensifying, and they're happening in places that it doesn't typically a lot of times happen. I mean, even Georgia had a couple a few weeks ago. They were tiny, but they still, regardless, they had them. And so that's something actually that we kind of keep an eye on too. Today, Kentucky is having really bad flooding. In fact, keep Philippines in your prayers, keep Kentucky in your prayers. They're having some pretty bad flooding, and I don't even know what's going on. I just saw that. I also just saw where the UAE, which is where they are building that Abraham family house, where you're going to have the mosque, the church, and the synagogue all right there together, and it's going to be the headquarters for the one world religion that I talked about in the last video. So in the north part of the country, it's a city called Fujairah, Fujariah. They are having the same kind of flooding as Kentucky's having right now. Bad. I mean, washing out. They don't know extent of what's going on or anything yet. So definitely keep all them in your prayers, and and keep the U.S. in your prayers. Keep everybody in your prayers. Everybody fighting. Everybody just acting crazy. It's like a full moon, never going away. Everybody talks about when you have a full moon, everybody gets grumpy and acts silly, acts weird. And it's like we got this big double full moon, and it's just not going away. Well, obviously, birth pains, right? Pelosi is supposed to be visiting Taiwan. China has said if you visit Taiwan, there's going to be repercussions. They don't want us involved. So they're still, I think, trying to decide if she's going to go or not. But today, number 46 did say that he had a meeting with China's president, and he told him that we were not going to intervene, or we are not going to back Taiwan's independence. Okay, Taiwan wants to be independent and that we were not going to back that. So that's not good. It's basically bowing down to China, which is not good. So they are threatening if she goes to Taiwan that there's going to be repercussions, but I don't know what's going to happen now that Biden has said. Number 46 has said that. Okay, and I think I mentioned in my last video, and I think I just talked about Russia and China going to Venezuela. Now the North Korean president, which during number 45's entire administration, the North Korean president pretty much behaved himself. Well, not since 46 has been in. So now, because of what's going on with China and Taiwan, he has now instructed his nuclear forces to prepare for an emergency. In other words, get the weapons ready. That's not good either. So that's all the things that I know of that's going on. And yeah, I know a lot of us don't care about the news. We don't care what's going on in the other world and what this, that, and the other, but you need to. We're heading to World War III, and we're also heading to that Gog Magog war. Maybe this year, maybe next year, I don't know, but we're definitely heading into it. And I know the prophets are saying, and if you're listening, that number 45 will be back by the end of the year. And even if, God does perform that miracle and that happens, which my gut's telling me no, but if it does, I mean, I'm not going to discount it until we're past the time. But even if it does happen, he is not going to be able to go in there and fix everything that's gone wrong in the last 2 years, 2.5 years. He's just not. So, that's not something we need to put our hope and faith in. We put our hope and faith in the Lord and that he's going to handle things. We talk to our friends and neighbors and family about Christ. We let them know who Christ is, and we let them know that, yeah, there is indeed going to be a rapture of the church, and there is indeed going to be the end times, and it is coming. I wish so much we could give them a date, but we can't. I mean, Satan, if we were to be given the date, I think we would live horrible, horrible lives until 5 minutes before it happens. How wrong is that? And also, I don't think Satan needs to know what's going on. He doesn't need to know the dates. So y'all just keep the world in prayer because it's clearly falling apart. A lot of things are happening. I have never in my life seen so much happen. Jesus in chapter 24 of Matthew talks about this generation will not perish until all these things come to play. And I really believe that this generation is now, and that it started in 1948 when Israel became a nation. I don't know if anyone studies Jewish traditions or whatever, and we are going to study this a little bit in our next few videos. But the Shemitah, which the Shemitah is God instructed the Israelites to plow the land, to take care of the land for 6 solid years. But on that 7th year, which is called the sabbatical year, which we are in a sabbatical year right now in Jewish customs, that 7th year, he tells them to rest. You forgive debts, you do lots of things, but you rest and you just let the land rest and leave it alone, because you will have enough from the 6 years previously that you don't need to worry about letting that land rest for the 7th year. So that's the Shemitah cycle. And then the 7th year is called the sabbatical. The Shemitah is 7 years, and then the 7th year is called sabbatical. And the Shemitah sabbatical year is going to end September 26th, I believe, of this year. And on September 27th starts the new Shemitah cycle, which will be 7 years. Also, the 70th Jubilee starts this year. So I found that interesting that we we're starting a new 7-year Shemitah. We've got the 70th Jubilee year starting. We got the 70th week of Daniel. You know, God speaks in numbers. So I find it interesting, but like I said, we'll be discussing that later. So this is why I find it concerning and to pay attention, not to be in fear. You know, if you got Christ, God's going to take care of you. Don't worry about it. However, it's supposed to happen. You know, we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We have nothing to worry about. One more thing is Flora and I are going to be doing a Bible study. We're actually doing right now on the book of Daniel and the 70 weeks prophecy. That's going to end in about 2 or 3 weeks. And then we're starting a new one, August 24th, and it's going to be on the life of Paul. And I think that's going to be real interesting. A couple of reasons I chose it. One is because it's going to be really interesting. He wrote almost like a third of the Bible, of the New Testament. And there's so many people out there that I hear say things like, well, this person can't do this because they did this in their past. And this person can't do this because they did that in their past, you know, or this person this, or this person that. Well, look at Paul when he was, you know, Saul Paul. Look what he did. And he ended up writing a third of the Bible and was martyred for Jesus Christ. So a third of the New Testament, and he was martyred for Christ. So I think it's going to be real interesting. If somebody would like to join it, it's going to be on Wednesday nights at 7, which is in the first night's August 24th. And we're going to be doing it via Zoom. So you can just do it in your pajamas or whatever before you go to bed. And it's a 6-week study. And if you are interested, just send an email to 2friendsinthebible@gmail.com. And we will get you hooked up with a Zoom link. And I can send you a link of where to get the book. It's only like maybe $11. It's not real expensive. So anyway, I hope this caught you guys up on some of our news and things going on in the world. And just keep hope, keep looking up, keep faith. Just keep praying, you know, for everything, and pray for your friends and your family. You know, again, I'm not going to date set, but based off the timing, you know, it's looking close. And I know people have said this in the past, but we didn't have the Israel as a nation, the 70th Jubilee, all these things going on in the world. You know, we didn't have all this stuff going on, which, yeah, we had World War II, but Israel wasn't a nation and things like that weren't going on yet. So, but everything's lining up now, but we do have a couple more things that still need to happen. So anyway, y'all leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't, check the bell so you can get notifications. And if you want to do the Bible study, send me an email. Thanks for listening to me blabber. I appreciate it, and I hope you got something out of it. You guys have a good week, and we will see you definitely Monday sometime. Flora's in the process right now of writing our next study, and it's going to be really interesting. I'm not even going to tell you what it is, but you're going to really enjoy it. So we had thought we were going to be done with Revelation 101 because we thought we had pretty much given the highlights, the points, but it's like every week, it's like God's telling us, no, do this, do one more, do one more. You need to do this. And so more things are coming. So I feel like, you know, we've got several more weeks left. So I'm not even going to give a deadline on when Revelation 101 is going to be done. We're just going to keep doing it until the Holy Spirit or whatever tells us to stop, you know, because obviously the words that we're being told need to be out there. So, all right, guys, y'all have a good week. Talk to you later. Bye.